Good guitar players all start the same. They'll hopefully have all 10 of their fingers, and hopefully they're in good health and they have good hand-eye coordination, good motor skills. And of course, the most important thing is that burning desire to learn to play the guitar. But what makes for the ultimate guitar student? And what traits make up that perfect guitar student? Well, if you're curious about this, then you're in luck, because what makes the perfect guitar student is exactly what we're going to discuss on this edition of the Guitar Blog Insider. Now, I want to start off on this subject by saying that the best students that I've ever taught over the last 25 plus years of being a guitar instructor are those who are really invested in what they're doing. They realize that they're involved in a big educational endeavor in trying to build this guitar playing skill within themselves, and they push themselves to practice, and they make the lesson in their life a priority. Now, these students realize that the time they spend with the teacher is a partnership, and that the quality of what occurs at the lessons will always depend upon this 50-50 relationship between them and the teacher. So in other words, the student doesn't expect that the teacher is some kind of a mind reader or somebody who just knows exactly what they're supposed to do from moment to moment. They realize they need communication flowing in both ways to make everything happen. And they also understand that the teacher isn't some kind of a magician. A guitar teacher, at least none I've ever met, or any kind of a wizard that can just magically inject guitar skills to the student. There has to be a partnership there between the student and the teacher, and the student and the teacher have to work together to make it work. Well, the first trait that I want to discuss has to do with the combination of work ethic and curiosity. And we'll explain how this goes, as I describe everything here. I've definitely noticed that really great guitar students they're the planning type. They're the type where their study plan that they have goes out for weeks, and they'll show up in class with a lot of concerns. There's going to be a lot of questions with these people when they show up to their guitar lesson. And they'll be asking all kinds of things to do with how stuff works, where they're at with their material. They'll do a lot of demonstrating. They'll play stuff for me. They'll be concerned about where they aren't at, what they can't do, and whether they're playing everything properly. There's this real concern with them that they've got it down. Does this sound right? Am I doing the right, down and up picking motions or strumming motions? So there's a big concern there, and lots of questions for how to apply material musically. So in other words, it's not good enough to just play something for these people. They want application ideas big time. And these students, they also have a great deal of self-discipline for analyzing what they're working on and putting it into perspective, breaking things down. And they seem to constantly be making decisions about their own self-progress. So they kind of keep notes and methods together for themselves of how they're studying and how the topics they're doing are being applied or will be applied. For example, let's say we take learning a scale. Just learning it, memorizing it, that's not enough for these people. They want to learn to play it as fast as possible, as clean as possible. They want it at the highest level of skill possible. And before they move on, they want to know also how it gets used and where all the application sides stand as well. So that's one example. But maybe let's look at another. Let's look at something like rhythm. So maybe just being able to play a groove or understand a groove for a rhythmic study, maybe that's the start, but it's only the very, very, very beginning. Because what they want to know with these rhythm ideas is where they can go with them, how inside or outside or syncopated they can make them. And then at the same time, through all of this, the perfection side is huge. They want it absolutely perfect. They want to know that they're playing perfectly along with a track off of an album. It just has to be absolutely, amazing before they feel like they're really finished and they're ready to move on to other stuff. Now, learning material, in other words, isn't enough for these people. They want to be able to learn it, master it, and then apply it perfectly. So learning the basics for these kind of students, it's just really the very, very ground level. They've got huge expectations beyond that they need to reach. Well, the next trait that I want to discuss has to do with self-motivation. If a guitar student drives themselves to succeed and pushes themselves to study as much as possible, it makes a huge difference in how much they learn and with what they end up being able to remember and to apply. The opposite is actually true for, when you have those students that they give up so easily. Maybe they're only around for 3 or 4 weeks and then they vanish and you don't know what happened to them. Players like that who just give up are obviously not motivated, or they may have a little bit of excitement in the early days, but that all fades away when they realize how long it's going to take them to actually get pretty good at playing guitar. However, the exact opposite is true for, the highly motivated student. They are so driven to learn and to be successful that they comment about where they're going to hope to be in a year from now and then in 2 years from now, and they tend to soak up everything handed to them like a sponge. The other byproduct for this, for the teacher, is that the motivated students are also easy to teach. They're generally quite easy to get along with, and they're good at communication. So when a student like this comes along, they're so effective to work with that the guitar class goes by pretty much in a flash, and the result of that is that the teacher enjoys working with them, and it's a lot of fun to have them around the studio. Now, the next thing I'm going to discuss, it's probably going to surprise you a little bit, because for most students, it's something that really doesn't get thought about too much. And it's actually the expectation that the teacher will have of their students for good behavior. Teachers, all teachers, have a pretty tough job. They're very busy. Music teachers, even if they only see about 20 or 25 students in a week, that is one of the many jobs they're doing to try to earn an income if they're a professional musician. Teachers have it pretty tough. It's a busy life. It's a busy job. They're generally working sometimes 15 hours a day just to keep everything in check. Generally, also, it's a 7-day-a-week thing. So, respect that if you're a student, and learn to develop your skills in a way that doesn't cause the teacher any problems. Sometimes there can be students who just have bad behaviors, and it might be a bad attitude. Maybe there's no respect there to the degree that should be, and the guitar teacher has a really tough time generally with students like this. It can kind of stress out a lot of teachers, because many of us are very conscientious about what's happening with not just the students' time, but of course with our time as well. We want everything to go smoothly. We want people to really be learning and everything going in a very effective manner. And if it doesn't, we tend to feel kind of bad about the situations. Now, because we need students to follow our studio systems and how everything's operating, because in an evening there could be 4 or 5 people aside from that one student who possibly causes the problems and so on. But we need the application of the curriculum done properly. We need the way that the teacher is treated to be proper. Communication skills are huge. You want to respect the time and not do things like never return phone calls very promptly or emails very promptly. That causes huge problems for a teacher. If you don't show up on time, or you just skip the class, and often there's other elements of it too. Not paying the teacher on time can be a big factor. As a student, you may not consider that very much, but if you don't pay the teacher on time, trust me, after all these years speaking to lots of teachers, it is a big problem for you in how you're viewed from that teacher's perspective. So, watch this relationship that you have with your teacher. Do not damage it, because if you like your teacher and you act a little bit strange or out of sorts, or what the teacher may consider to be bad behavior from you, and you may not even probably realize it, but you could be damaging that relationship. High levels of respect are super important. Foster the relationship. How you build it with your teacher, how you build respect with your teacher is all very, very important. If you do this, if you put a conscious foot forward to do this, your teacher will always focus on you in the class with a lot more respect as well, rather than thinking about your behavior and how that possibly negatively has affected some point in your relationship. So keep this in mind. It's something generally that probably most students don't even consider, but it's a huge factor with how your teacher is going to interact with you. Well, in wrapping things up, I want to cover the last but probably the most important topic for, this of idea of what makes up the perfect guitar student, and it's actually self-confidence. See, when a student has an attitude of, sure, let's try this, let's play this exercise, turn on the metronome, I'm going to give this scale a shot, I'm going to try my best to try this music reading study, whatever it may be, just let's go for it. When you have a student like that, and it's just a matter of, hey, let's try this rhythm, let's try this scale, I want to do this music reading exercise, whatever it is, if the student has this fearless attitude, it's absolutely excellent. And if you don't have this attitude right now, try to adopt it as soon as possible. Just, take it with you and go with it, because it supports jumping into water over your head. And when a student does this, and does it a lot, they grow as a guitarist very rapidly. So, throw caution to the wind, try new things, try improvising in a class with your teacher. Maybe try a complex rhythm guitar part and see if you can keep up to your teacher with it. I can guarantee you it will go a long way in helping you reach new levels. Plus, your guitar teacher is going to be impressed with you that you're willing to, wade into some deep water and attempt some unfamiliar guitar playing. Is going to be kind of impressed by that. Anyway, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on all of this in the comments section below. Thanks for your time, and we'll catch up again next week on my other channel for another edition of the Guitar Blog Insider. I've got 25 years experience teaching guitar and have written a well-organized step-by-step guitar course. Head over to my website at creativeguitarstudio.com and sign up for a free membership today. Join the thousands of members worldwide who have already enrolled. There's no need to try learning the guitar on your own. Let me help you become the best guitar player that you can be.